Welcome to part 2 of the course. In this section we cover architecture and design. What are the key elements of a platform? Really want to address a couple of different issues. The first is, what defines a platform and what are the key components that we can use to build one? The next question would be, how do I predict a platform market and one that's ready to transform to becoming a platform? 3, how is virality different from network effect? If the source of value is network effects and we want to build one using virality, what are the different components and how do they interoperate? And lastly, how do I use components of the architecture in order to increase virality in network effects in order to create value? So let's get started. Consider an open standard. Third parties can certainly add and attach value to it, and as an open system it can spread and be widely adopted. Problem with that is it also applies to things like metric system or 120 volt current, and you can't police bad behavior if someone's not behaving well within the platform. But what about a modular foundation? In this case, third parties can attach, and because it's modular, it's extensible. You can actually boost the innovation on the system. This, however, misses the exchange concept, more like a marketplace where you might actually purchase something. So what about the third possibility? Well, let's consider a marketplace. That facilitates exchange, and there's certainly more wealth and value created as folks trade and buy and interact with one another. One challenge with that is sometimes markets can be too open, like flea markets, or it's hard to build on them when that's the case. So what might be a working definition that would cover all those different possibilities? There are a number of different debates about what a platform should be. We like to define a platform as an open architecture together with a governance model designed to facilitate interactions. Each of those 3 components is essential. The open architecture allows third parties to participate, to add value and innovate on the ecosystem. The governance gives you rules. It gives you power to exclude bad actors, to steer the community, and to monetize it. Because you have control over the system, you can actually charge for access to various components. The third element is the interactions. This is the means by which value is created. More trades take place, more wealth is created. That is the value of the exchange. We'll be using network effects to boost the value of that exchange. Then consider a platform's purpose. The goal of a platform is to consummate matches or to increase interactions which create value. Each of these ingredients is essential. Let's illustrate with a couple of different possibilities. So consider a flea market. It's open, it's certainly possible for buyers and sellers to join the ecosystem, but it's so open, participation is completely unrestricted. There's no way to exclude bad actors in that case, and there's certainly buyers and independent sellers in this case. In this instance, flea markets would not qualify as a platform. In contrast, let's consider eBay. Now, third parties can add value. There are buyers and sellers in exactly the same way as there are in a flea market, and they're independent, so they can join and participate. But now, eBay polices bad behaviors. They exclude shippers that don't ship. They exclude buyers that bid on too many products at the same time. And if you have a bad experience, sometimes they will even insure you and help to negotiate. They police and actually govern the rules of the ecosystem to create value. This qualifies eBay across all parameters as a true platform. What about the product platform, the Keurig 2 coffee machine? In this case, it's got swappable modular parts which might allow you to add attachments. But the original system was designed with digital rights management, or DRM, in such a way that no one else could add value. Only the firm itself could add value. Third parties were excluded in this case. They weren't extra producers, they were just consumers. So the Keurig coffee machine 2.0 original did not qualify as a platform. Now, contrast this with one of the original MakerBot systems, where third parties could not only modify the designs, much like the recipes in McCormick Spice, which we discussed in the introduction, they could also modify the devices themselves. The best modifications were appropriated into the design of the next generation system. In this instance, third parties are adding lots of additional value, and they're swapping different ideas and trading in an ecosystem. This qualifies across all 3 dimensions the MakerBot system as a true platform. Finally, consider the fax machine. This is a standard device often used to illustrate network effects, and third parties can attach, they can send, they can even add new different devices to the fax machine itself. But again, it has no governance model. You can't exclude bad actors in there. You can't steer it or monetize because there's no specific point of control apart from the single device itself. A fax machine doesn't qualify as a platform. If we consider a few other instances, for example, the first 3 elements here, Airbnb, Facebook, or the operating systems for Android and Apple. In each of these cases, third parties can attach and add value. Airbnb hosts bring new rooms. You and I, as members of Facebook, may be sharing new content. And developers on Android and Apple do provide new applications and new content. Also, there are independent hosts and guests. There are independent posters and readers, independent developers and users in this case. And in every instance, you can exclude bad actors. Airbnb will ensure properties against misbehavior. And Apple specifically excludes pornography, viruses, and malware on the iTunes ecosystem. This, again, qualifies all three of these as a platform. Or, in contrast, consider HTML and cascading style sheets. These are standards that anyone can use, but again, it's open and completely ungoverned, so as a standard, it's more like an ungoverned system, and therefore, it doesn't qualify as a true platform. One of the most subtle cases is the last example. Consider Google Maps. In this instance, we see a number of different parties, third-party developers building and adding value to the ecosystem. They're developers and the consumers, but it is also quite thoroughly and very carefully policed. If you seek to add new kinds of ads, Google will specifically exclude that. This control gives them the ability to steer the ecosystem and, of course, also to monetize. That qualifies Google Maps as a platform. So again, to summarize, a platform is an open architecture together with a governance model designed to facilitate healthy and valuable interactions.